A dash of mystery, a sparkle of magic, and all things cozy. Join your host, Elle Hartford, for Cozy Alchemy, a proud member of the Authors on the Air network. Hello and welcome to Cozy Alchemy, a podcast all about cozy, mysterious books. I'm Elle, and my guest today is, actually I have two guests. I have Rosiee Thor and I have Kat Hillis here with me. We're going to talk about their recent book, Summer Coven, in just a minute. But first, we're going to play a game of Two Truths and a Lie. So who wants to go first?
Rosiee does.
Great. I'm so glad you volunteered me for this.
I had a feeling.
Okay. So my two truths to lie are I play 5 instruments.
Ooh.
I am a film and TV trivia buff. And I have won a dance competition.
Ooh, these are fun ones. And we decided that Kat is going to know all these answers anyway,
Kat
right?
knows,
So
I'm
I'm
sure
on my
Kat knows the
own.
answer.
You know. That's good. It's good to have a writing partner who knows you very well. I am going to guess that the third one is the lie, the dance competition.
You are wrong.
Oh, okay.
I won many dance competitions. I used to be a professional, competitive all-star West Coast swing dancer. So I have
Cool.
won a lot of dance competitions. And I do play 5 instruments. I play the piano, guitar, bass, harp, and drums.
Nice. So you
know
have your
nothing
own
about film
band,
and TV.
basically.
I cannot tell any white man actor apart. I don't know anything. My partner is a big TV trivia person, and so sometimes I hear about it, but it goes in one ear and out the other, and I will never remember a single thing about any movie I've seen ever. In fact, I've never seen a movie before.
Fair enough. Well, and those are the best lies where it's like somebody close to you it's true of, or like maybe it's
Yeah.
just adjacent to your life somehow. Yeah. I hear you on that. I had a very analog childhood. We didn't get TV for a very long time, and
Yeah.
maybe it's a skill that you learn when you're young, and I don't know.
My parents are
It just
very
doesn't stick.
outdoorsy people, and they did not
Mm.
they really wanted to encourage me to be an outdoorsy person, and I am simply not. So we never got any real TV stations or anything. So I didn't grow up with that as a major part of my life, but I did sneak away to watch illegally uploaded TV shows onto Vimeo or whatever on my crusty old laptop. It was just the buffer speed was terrible. I tried so hard and it just
I feel like that's the modern equivalent of reading a book under the covers with your flashlight.
Totally. I also did that. I would stuff a towel under the door so that the light wouldn't show through, and yeah.
Clever. Nice. All right, Kat, you're up.
Real quick, I was a poorly parented 90s kid, so I watched so much TV and got to read all night if I wanted. Okay, so my two truths and a lie. I'm very tall. I love math, and I hate lying.
Lime. Like the fruit?
No, lying. I hate
lying. I heard lime. Okay, lying makes sense. And this is so funny because we were saying, wouldn't a good lie be? I'm great at lying, so I feel like you've gone that route. I am going to guess. Let's see. You seem tall. I'm gonna guess that the second one is the lie.
Nope, I actually
About
really do
math.
love math.
Ah, nice. Okay.
And I also love lying. I love the board games where you have to lie about the hidden role type games.
Really?
I love it. It's so fun.
Oh my gosh. It gives me anxiety. That's so funny. Okay, so then the lie is that you're not tall, I guess, or the truth, I guess.
Yes, I am tall.
Yes. Okay. Nice. That's so funny. Now, if we transition that into storytelling, because as I was telling you guys before we started recording, And I think I may have mentioned it on previous podcast episodes. I had assumed when I started out that Two Truths and a Lie would come naturally to authors because we all make stuff up. But that has not always proved to be the case. Some people like lying a lot more than others. And for some people, storytelling is just something different entirely. On which note, which of you would like to tell us a little bit about your book?
Rosiee would.
Great.
I'm sensing a theme.
This is our dynamic. I'm always like, give Kat an opportunity to answer, and Kat's like, Rosiee, why don't you do it? Yeah. So, Summer Coven, which I have right here, yay, is the sequel to our cozy mystery about two gay vampires solving crime in a rural Oregon town. And the second book follows their investigation into the murder of a pet psychic at the local summer solstice festival, where a coven of witches has set up shop, and they are dealing with all kinds of interpersonal drama from the town. And most importantly, perhaps, their beloved black cat has run away. So they are cavorting around town trying to figure out what's going on with all of the various mysteries and making very goofy puns and getting into scrapes along the way.
I love it. And puns, of course, being such a classic part of cozy mystery, I feel like. Now, okay. Obviously, this book sounds like so much fun, just like right off the bat. But one of the initial things that made me really excited to talk to you two, was this, what I really wanted to ask you. And I'm trying not to get too excited because this is something I think about a lot. Obviously, we have a blending of cozy mystery and then like paranormal fantasy vampires going on. From which angle did you come? Like, were you originally cozy mystery fans and like the fantasy crept in, or were you paranormal fans and like came over to the cozy mystery side? Like, how did that occur?
For me, is definitely coming in from the fantasy side. Our lore behind how these books came to be is quite goofy. I was an intern for a literary agent reading The Slush, and I was reading a lot of cozy mysteries, and I was kind of like, man, these would be a lot more interesting if they were about vampires or werewolves or like I was having a hard time with the like small town vibes and like nothing magical was going on. I just thought there were so many opportunities for comedy that were being missed. And that was kind of where the original seed for this story started, was feeling like, what if the cozy mysteries were like a little bit more fantastical? And I don't know about Kat. I think you were a little bit more well-versed in cozy mystery than I was when we first started this endeavor many, many years ago.
Huge fan of murder, fictional murder. So I love
Good
mysteries.
caveat.
I've always loved
Good.
mysteries. I like all kinds of mysteries, but cozies are just like, they're just cozy. It's just fun. And the characters, you get to have like a wackier cast because it's a little bit less serious. You know, there's no like hard-boiled detective character. It's all
Right.
They're just goofballs.
Had you written mysteries before this series?
No, for some reason. Never like a genre mystery. Just mystery subplots.
Yeah, and we are both big believers that most books have some element of mystery in them, even if it's not a murder mystery. Like most fantasy novels are at their core a mystery about something to do with magic or about something to do with the politics of the world, or even like a romance has elements of mystery in it because the characters have to find out something about each other. And there are like, you know, clues that get foreshadowed, and it's not always like structured exactly like a mystery, but it does have elements of that in it. So we were both like, when we came to this, I was really scared to write it because I didn't feel like I had the chops to write a mystery. And when we sat down to really figure it out, it was like, oh no, I've done all of this before. It just hasn't been labeled as a mystery. And it really did, those skills cross over.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I have to admit, I also, with my own writing, came from the fantasy side, came to the mystery, and had exactly the same reaction of like, I can't do this. Like, mysteries are so much more complicated. And it's not true, right? And do you find it gets easier? Because this is the second book in the series. Was it easier to write this one?
Think so. I think they were both just very easy.
It was easier for me, I think. In the beginning of writing the first one, there's always that period of time where you're getting to know the characters and the world. And so for, subsequent books in a series, you're just returning to the canon that already exists. And so to me, it feels a little bit
Fair.
like writing fan fiction, except that we get to decide what's canon. So just like playing in a sandbox, it's already been built, and we're elaborating on that in book 2.
Fair.
But the mystery is about
absolutely.
the same. Like,
Yeah.
plotting the mystery is about the same challenge level.
Hmm.
I feel like we
Okay,
have it easier
nice.
because there's 2 of us, and so
Oh,
we
yeah.
can really just bounce off of each other and kind of figure it out together. It's a group effort rather than kind of being stuck in your own head. So
Oh,
yeah, I feel like these
yeah.
books are easier for us to write than
But
I don't know,
yeah,
at least for me,
definitely.
they're way easier to write together than they are to write solo.
Yes.
Well, and on that note, I'm sure you've been asked about this before, but it does kind of fascinate me because I've never tried writing with anyone else. So what is it like? How did it start? Like who approached whom?
So I guess for this book, it started a long time ago. Rosiee pitched this book, that Dead and Breakfast, and I got so mad. Like internally, I got very mad in that way of when somebody makes a really good pun and you wish you had thought of it. I was like, this pitch is so perfect, and Rosie was like, and I'll never write it. And I was like, why did I think of it so I could write it? And I honestly don't know, Rosie, when you were like, you should write this with me.
I don't remember when it happened, but it was somewhere along the line. The way that this book has come to be has been very much like, I feel like we were just yes-anding our way into it. We made
Okay.
so many jokes together about this concept. Our texts, like our text history, is just us like making up jokes about these characters over many, many years, and they will sometimes be like without preamble. It will just be like, we won't have talked in several hours, and one of us will just be like, this is something that should be canon in this world of this book that we'll never write. And at some point, I think I just said, like, I don't feel like I can write this one. I don't really know what to do with it, but it sounds like maybe you do. Do you want to write it together? And we hopped on a call just to kind of see if we could plot it out and figure out what the book was. And it came so easily to us. We were laughing so hard the whole time. And we had done all of this character work over years of joking in our text messages that it felt
Nice.
so like we really did have co-ownership over these characters. Like, yes, I came up with the idea and the title like years and years ago, but it didn't feel like it was only mine anymore. And it wouldn't have felt right to write it alone. And then it turned out to be like some of the most fun I've ever had writing, is writing together. So
Yes, I would like, I felt like I was chosen. Like when you were, I just felt so special. I was like, "Yeah, finally."
That's so cute. Okay, so it sounds like, as I'm piecing this together, you guys were already friends and both already writing when the story
yes.
idea came about?
Yeah, so Kat and I
Okay.
met through a mentorship contest. They kind
Oh.
of don't, I don't know if they really exist that much anymore, but it used to be like a big deal. And I was a mentor in the writing program, and I ended up working with Kat. And so I've read like every book Kat's ever written, and Kat has also read most of the books I have written. And we just ended up in this like I feel like I trust Kat. I would trust Kat with my life. Like, anything I write, I send to Kat, and I'm like, please read this and make sure that it's like okay. And the trust was built like over those years. So by the time we wrote something together, it was just so easy and natural. We both understand each other's sensibilities and priorities. So it ended up just being like a very smooth process.
Yeah, and Rosie really taught me so much about writing and plotting and revision, like almost everything I know about writing.
It's
So
great because I feel like I've forgotten all of that, and now you get to reteach it to me. Everything I taught you, I have forgotten.
You're
well, I
carrying on
remember
the
it.
legacy.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like my head is empty now.
Nice. That's so cool. I wanted to say, just as a plug, I think Sisters in Crime does still do a mentorship program. That's
Awesome. Oh,
obviously
good.
more on
Oh,
the
okay.
mystery side of things, but they are still out there somewhere.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's so cool though to hear about one of those programs having such a lasting impact. That's so neat.
Yeah, I think I've mentored through that program or another I've done like 3-ish programs, I think. I think I have like 10 mentees that I've worked with over the years. And I'm still quite close with several of them. All of them that are still writing, I'm still quite close with. So it's really cool to see. And then I actually have a grand mentee, because Kat has a mentee,
Yes.
and
Oh.
her debut book comes out next year, and it's very exciting. So
Yay. What for Kat, what was it like mentoring somebody after you'd been mentored? Like, did you carry everything forward?
Yes. Like Rosie is probably one of the best mentors to have ever done it. And I
Aw.
just feel so lucky. And because they just like the continual support, some mentorships, and people don't have a lot of time all the time, so sometimes it's like
mm.
a short amount of time and then they just like set you out in the world. But Rosie has like stuck with me and their other mentees. And so I try to bring that with my mentee. Sh-
Aw.
and like I have a co-mentor. And so we like, it's just been so good to see like the process. And seeing her like get an agent and then a book deal, it's just been just so proud. Like,
Yeah, that's so
And
cool.
I'll just
I
shout
love
out
these.
because your
Yeah.
co-mentor was also my mentee, and I worked with both of you at the same time. And I
Ah.
was so worried that the two of you would not get along or that there would be like some kind of weird competitiveness because I was working with both of you at the same time, but you became like best friends and it worked out
yes.
so well. And I'm just so pleased. Sometimes
I
like
love.
publishing can be like a little catty, like people can be jealous and I don't feel
Yeah.
like I don't see people metabolizing that jealousy in a very productive way in publishing very often. I think I see
Mm.
people really like just incinerating their own careers over it all the time. And so it was very, very nice to see, like, I don't think anyone, and none of my mentees are like that. They have all been so supportive of each other and so uplifting and encouraging. And it's just not like that at all, which is awesome.
That is, I love seeing stories like this of community in the author world because so many of us write lovely community and friendships in our books. So it's
Yes.
nice to see it like out in the wild.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, this is fascinating. Because I agree with you. Like, there is, you do see a lot of jealousy out there. And I think there's a lot of like internalized jealousy
hmm
and self criticism and that sort of thing that goes on in the publishing world. Um, when you see your mentees kind of fall into that. What do you tell them? Like, how do you metabolize it?
Don't well, so this hasn't actually happened to any of my mentees, which is awesome. They're all so
That's
grounded
good.
and
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
they all have very good heads on their shoulders about it, which is great.
Mm.
But the things that I often come back to, and I have to remind myself of these things too, because I have struggled with this. I think every writer I know has struggled with the jealousy in some way or another. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I always come back to is that um, the person that you are jealous of, the person that is causing that feeling in you, it's not their fault that they are succeeding. It's not this
Fair.
industry
Yeah.
is so luck driven. There are
Yeah.
obviously factors within our control, but there are so many factors that are not in our control, and that it doesn't actually serve you to spend energy on that feeling and uh, on that like don't sit in that. Allow that to
Mm.
fuel you to do work for yourself. But I will often see like that jealousy get turned inward into like I'm not doing enough or my publisher isn't doing
Yeah.
enough or I'm going to be a failure. And as long as you are taking that energy and channeling it into creation, I think that can
Mm.
be valuable and a useful like way to process that. But if you are using that energy to tear someone else down, um, then that's when it becomes really toxic. And that's what we see break containment on public forums is these
Right.
this jealousy that gets too big to really be managed. And it's really unfortunate. I think it's so often that we see it with like debut authors who are so they're being put into a pressure cooker of this publishing industry tells you like, hey, here's a book deal and we're going to publish your book and we're going to market you. And then they don't. And it's
Mm.
so
Yeah.
hard. It's so hard. And there's not really an infrastructure for handling that. There's no roadmap. So I think
Fair.
it's very understandable. I have a lot of empathy for people who kind of crash and burn through that because I can see how it happens. I don't have a lot of empathy for the way they act toward their peers. I think that's inappropriate, but I do understand the
Fair
feeling,
enough.
and I've seen it happen time and time again. It's very frustrating and it's very sad. Um, but yeah, I think the best thing you can do is try to channel it towards creation in some way, whether that is like creating your own books, whether that is like, creating marketing materials for your books. I think that channeling that, whatever that energy is, I think channeling it into helping other people is a really good way to deal with it, is instead of allowing that to take over and, seething at every success that other person has, um, try to help someone else.
I like that. That's
Doesn't always
such a
work,
wonderful
but
way to turn it around.
yeah, that has worked for me to a certain extent. I find the other piece of useful information is when it becomes a situation where it's like, bitch eating crackers. Like, you're mad at everything that person does, even when it's just normal stuff, because you have that jealousy. It's time to mute them on social media. You're allowed to do that.
True.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Extremely okay to
Yeah.
do that. I do think that we are all a little too online, and getting a little bit offline is helpful. I understand that that's like a hard thing to. It's hard to
Yeah.
agree to do something like that in this current economy where like social media is such a huge part of marketing. But the reality
Yeah.
is that your mental health is so much more important than reaching 10 more people on Instagram. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Amen to that. Uh, and I really appreciate, because as you're saying, like, there is no roadmap, and there does tend to be, whether it's true or not, there's definitely a narrative of like the writer is in their office alone, like, and the rest of the world is outside and away, which I'm sure doesn't help. And so it's just another thing where I can see it'd be so nice to have like a writing partner who knows you so well, and you can be like, hey, I'm feeling this way, and, bounce things off each other.
yeah,
That's so
I
cool.
think having people is so vital. I'm sure Kat
It
can
Mm.
speak
is.
to this also. You have such a
I-
strong community.
You
Yeah.
couldn't survive without it. I couldn't. Like, and the people that you see on social media who are crashing out, it's like, where is their group chat? And it's because they don't
Right.
have, like, it's really hard to find genuine community these days.
Mm.
I think you're so right. You asked like,
Yeah.
where is their group chat? And the reality is that their group chat is formed around the idea of publishing. It's not formed around other things. Those relationships are
Ah, there you
because
go.
they got similar sized deals in similar genres. They queried at the same time, but that is not something that actually makes a friendship a friendship. That's something that makes you a colleague. And a colleague is not someone that you will stick your neck out to save if they are doing something wild on the internet. A friend is. And so I think that's a really important distinction. I see a lot of
Yeah.
people try to make connections in this industry through just talking about the industry. And I think the real connections that you make are made over talking about shared interests, shared, passions. Some of my best friends in the industry are people who are not really publishing anymore.
Mm.
Or people who we started out writing together, but we stayed friends even though one of us quit because we had a lot of stuff in common. So it doesn't have to be all of that. Like, you don't have to just be cubicle mates with other writers. Like, you can be friends.
That's very true. It's a very good point. And on that note, because we have strayed a little, but it's my fault because this is fascinating. Can each of you tell me your favorite thing about Summer Coven? Could be like part of the writing process, part of the story, one of the
I
characters,
I
anything.
think the librarian character we introduce is perhaps
Yeah.
my favorite part.
Yeah.
There's so many good parts of the book though that I really love, but
My favorite part of the writing process was that scene with the librarian, because I guess we haven't talked about this, but the way that Kat and I co-write is that Kat writes a zero draft, which is kind of like a I don't know, like a barer bones kind of chapter. It's got dialogue. It's got, it's missing some descriptions. It's missing some transitions, stuff like
It's
that.
bad. You
But
can just say bad.
I wouldn't say bad. This is my favorite thing. I love it so much. And then I write like the second draft on top of it. So we do it concurrently. Kat lives on the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. So Kat writes in the morning, and by noon I have a chapter in my inbox. And then in the afternoon, I take that chapter and I edit it, and I add stuff, I rewrite stuff, I reorganize things, whatever I need to do to make it fit. And then I send it back by the end of the day.
I also like the accountability buddies aspect
It's great.
of this,
Yes.
I have
It
to
works
say.
so well.
Yeah.
The pressure of like, I have to sit down and
Yeah.
work because Rosie is counting on me.
Yeah, it works so
Yeah.
well. But it also means that we each get to do our favorite part of the process. I really struggle with a blank page.
Fair.
Nothing bums me out more than having to open a blank document.
Nothing bums me out more than having to make writing good. I just like the writing part. I don't like being good. I don't have to worry about it being good.
Yeah, so we each get to do our favorite part, and we don't have to do the part we don't like. And we figured this out about
That
2
is
chapters
ideal.
into the writing process of this book, that we didn't want to do it as a dual POV book where we each take a POV. We wanted to do a single POV, which meant we needed to figure out how we were going to do the writing process. And once we got honest about what we like and what we don't like about writing with each other, it became very clear that we have like perfectly matched like priorities, and the things that we like it's perfectly matched for us to each do the part that we like and not the part we don't like. So
Nice.
when I got this chapter about the librarian, I opened it, and this was one of those moments where, like, full circle, because Kat was mad about me coming up with this book idea, and it being the perfect pun, the perfect idea, and then I got to this pun that she had written, and I crashed out so hard because it was so funny. The librarian's name is Paige Turner, and I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever read. And it was so fun. So I really love that part of the process of getting to open up a chapter that Kat has written and finding out what jokes she has made. Like, just getting to read it and going, what has she given me to work with?
Nice.
The opposite, like in the morning, I usually start by reading the chapter that Rosie has sent that's revised. And that's the same experience. I'm like, what jokes did they add? Like, I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited.
It
To read
is,
the new version
it is
of the
very
chapter.
fun to have this like couple of hours between us in terms of time zones as well, because we'll be working at different times, and I will wake up and Kat will have like read the chapter already and have had thoughts about it, and Kat will already be asleep, and I will be like in her DMs making the most unhinged jokes. And it's so fun to just like kind of like have slightly off schedule, so we're not on at the same time, and we can have these like unhinged rants in each other's comments or whatever. So it's a very fun part of the process.
That's awesome. Yeah, keeps it going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I ask this of everybody, but if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were just starting out, it could be just starting out on your solo publishing journey, just starting out working together, whatever, resonates most strongly with you right now. What advice would you give to yourself?
I think the advice that I have found most valuable in my career so far, I wish I had known a little sooner. And so I think that's what I would go back and say it. And it's that when you start taking your writing seriously, not when you get a book deal, not when you get an agent, when you start taking your writing seriously, when you start pursuing this as a career, it's really important to transition it in your brain from hobby to career, and to then replace the hobby with something else.
Yeah.
I really, really struggled when my first book came out. The crash after that was really hard because suddenly writing books wasn't just for me. It wasn't just for fun. It wasn't like, what do I want to explore? What am I most excited about? It was what is publishable? What is something that
Mm.
publishing will want from me? And it has really changed my relationship to writing. And so writing is no longer like just a hobby. Yes, I still do hobby writing. I love writing fan fiction. That's like a big
Nice.
thing that I really enjoy. I think it's really important to have something, I call it a flowers project, because a very wise garden center worker once told me that it was important to plant flowers in my vegetable garden so that the pollinators would come. And I have taken that
Okay.
metaphor and like applied it to writing of I need a flowers project so that the pollinators come and like refill the well so that I can
Yeah.
work on my vegetable garden, which is my published
That's a
book.
gorgeous image. I love that. Okay.
Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
think that that's true with both like flowers project as in like a creative project that is helping you like stay afloat and it's helping to refill your well. And that could be a writing project, but it could also just be like any creative endeavor that is not something you're going to monetize. And it's
Mm.
so important just because when you make that transition, your self-worth that is tied up in this hobby of writing suddenly is tied to your paycheck. It's suddenly tied to your royalty statements, how many copies you sold. And it's just so easy to let that drag you down.
Yeah.
So, and this is honestly doubly true for people who are really successful, because if your royalty statements are really high and you're getting all this self-worth from like, I'm selling 100,000 copies of my book, what's going to
Right.
happen when your next book doesn't sell as well? You know, it's
Yeah.
important to have something else to like keep you grounded. Otherwise, you just kind of float off with the Zeppelin there. It's like it's not gonna be
Yeah.
good. So you want to make sure you have something else going on. So for me, I picked stuff like gardening, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a big
Nice.
knitter. So just like anything that you can take with you and do something with that. And I would have given myself that advice, not just like at the beginning of my writing stuff, but like even earlier. I had the same struggles with like professional dancing, that turning into like
Mm.
a job became a problem, and I didn't have other hobbies to back me up to like support that. So I think it's so important
Yeah.
not to sound like a tech bro or like a finance bro, but like diversify your hobbies.
And you should always have a hobby that you are bad at. I think that's important.
I so
Ooh,
agree.
that's a good
Like,
addition. Yeah.
yeah, just for like the endurance training of like,
I think being bad at stuff is so valuable. I think
yes,
we as a society
Right.
really only like value talent. And I think that
Mm.
valuing effort, valuing enjoyment are like just as important.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kat, what would your advice be?
this is a hard question for me because I spent a really long time breaking in, and so I spent like
Mm.
years and years kind of studying, like an anthropologist studying like professional writers, people who are successful. And so I saw so many people crash and burn. And I
Mm.
saw the opposite of people who are like successful and had longer careers. And so I think my advice for maybe like past me and anyone who is also like trying to get into publishing and it's taking a long time is it's sometimes better to be an ugly horse than a unicorn. Um, because like unicorns just prance right through the querying trench and like they get a big, if you get like a big sale really fast, you don't have the
Mm.
kind of like the calluses of like that rejection can give you. And so like I queried for 7 years, I think, before I
Mm.
signed my agent. And then I was with my agent for like 3 years before Dead and Breakfast sold, and that was my debut. So it was like
Nice.
at this point, I don't even feel rejected. I don't care. Like, okay. You get the bad like someone will tag you in a bad review, and I'm just like, yeah, you're probably right. Like maybe the book is bad. Oh, that's your opinion. Okay. Moving on. Like the authors who get into trouble who like, respond to reviewers and like try to attack them. And
Mm.
it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's fair. Fair opinion. Okay.
That is kind of a superpower to be just like, all right, moving on.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So we will get to our last question in just a minute. But first, obviously, I will have like your bios and links and things in the show notes. But is there any way in particular that you would like people to find you online?
Yeah, I'm really only active on Instagram at Rosiee Thor. My website is rosieethor.com, and I do have a newsletter, which is
Woohoo.
fun. I write lots of like book recommendations. There's always a picture of one of my pets, and I try to be interesting there.
Nice.
So that's what I got.
Nice. How about you, Kat?
Same. I'm really only on Instagram and only somewhat on Instagram, but it's like, book updates. So
Yeah.
Kat Hillis author, my website, cathillis.book or Kat Hillis Books. Who am I? And I also have a newsletter. That's not as good as Rosie's, but it's still there's puns.
Puns are good. Puns are good. All right. Our last question, ending on a high note. What is one win that you've had in the past week? It could be anything, big or small.
I had some really good soup recently.
Nice. Nice. And I appreciate you going first because I was about to call you out.
Yeah, it was chicken and wild rice soup, and it was really good.
Nice. It's very cozy.
I'll go in a similar direction. I made some really good pickles.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm overrun
yeah.
with cucumbers from my garden, so I've been making pickles and
Nice.
perfecting
Yeah,
my pickle
speaking of
recipe.
Speaking of having other hobbies, absolutely, that's cool. All right, well, Rosiee, Kat, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And like I said, all those links will be in the show notes. So for listeners, go check that out, and I will talk to you next time. Cozy Alchemy is brought to you by Authors on the Air, and our theme music is by Cyberwave Orchestra. For everything else, blame Elle. You can find her online at ellehartford.com.